Good morning, Prairie View. Today is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. It's time for your midweek update. This is a bit different in terms of the timing. I usually record these videos in the afternoon, so there may be fewer people watching right now. It is almost lunchtime. It's about 11:40 a.m. And here in just a few minutes, I'm going to leave the church and I'm going to go pick up lunch from another Broken Egg Cafe in Fishers. Reason being that David and Erica Richards happened to be in town and they were going to be at another Broken Egg. They're meeting a couple people from the church for lunch, and so I'm going to stop by and say hello. So I will be sure to tell them that our church loves them and misses them and still thinks of them. So it's also St. Patrick's Day, of course, Wednesday, March 17th. So happy St. Patrick's Day to all of our Irish congregants. Don't really know if we have any. But of course, St. Patrick's Day is a day that everybody's Irish. So have fun, even though things are certainly different this year the way they were last year. And today is also a few birthdays within the church. So Kim Davidson, Tina Wesley, happy birthday if you too see this. So now a few quick updates for our church today, for the rest of the week. Number one, as you may already know, we are right in the thick of March Madness. Games start very, very soon for the NCAA tournament, and while we could not have our typical gathering in the sanctuary to watch the show and eat food and hang out and fill out brackets, we do still have the online bracket group. That link has been shared on Facebook, the church Facebook page. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll try to get that emailed out today. We know that not everybody has a Facebook page, and Lori Heinzman just reminded me that it's Terry Blaker's birthday as well. Happy birthday, Terry Blaker. That's the reason I don't do this typically, is because once you start with one or two or three people, then you have to mention everybody. So if next week rolls around and it's your birthday and I forget to mention you, please don't be offended. But Terry Blaker, Tina Wesley, Kim Davidson, happy birthday to all of you. Now, back to business, March Madness. As you know, games start today. We have the bracket group available. It's online. You can download the app. If you have not filled out a bracket yet, you need to do that because games start soon. And once the games start, you can't fill out a bracket if you've already haven't done it yet. So fill out a bracket if you plan to participate here in the next few hours before games start for March Madness. Again, we wish it could be a little bit more normal, but this is certainly better than nothing. We can still rub it in each other's faces when we beat each other and have bragging rights and get competitive. That's good for us, right? So fill out those brackets for March Madness. If you have not gotten the link, if you don't have a Facebook page, if you're not aware of how to join the group, reach out to me and I will find a way to get you plugged into that. Now, besides that, there is no men's breakfast this week, so no announcement there. We'll be meeting next week on the 26th. On Sunday, we're going to finish up our Royal Failures sermon series. We've been now 6 weeks into these nitty-gritty, sometimes difficult stories in the Old Testament of kings who didn't always serve God well, didn't always serve God's people well. But I think we've learned some valuable lessons along the way. This past week's sermon on Manasseh, I think, may have been my personal favorite of the entire sermon series. And if you were there, you can probably understand why. It was a little bit more hopeful and a little bit more optimistic than some of the other stories and kings that we've read about in the sermon series. But this coming Sunday, we shift our attention back to complete, utter, total devastation. And that is with the final few kings in the southern kingdom of Judah before they fall to Babylon. But again, like the other sermons in this sermon series, even though this text is ugly, even though this text is hard, even though it can be confusing and seem a little bit distant and removed, and you read it and you think, what in the world does this mean for my faith right now following Jesus? There are good lessons here for us to learn. So we will be in these chapters, closing 2 Kings, starting in 2 Kings 23, running through the end of the book, 2 Kings 25, and even delving into some other biblical books as well. So many of the Old Testament prophets have thoughts on the events of 2 Kings 25, whether they were warnings about what was going to happen, or whether they were promises about God's eventual restoration for his people after the total destruction of 2 Kings 25. So We will be looking at that story, looking at some other texts as well that are certainly relevant to it, and then ultimately seeing how God's promises are fulfilled in Christ. If this sermon series has been one about royal failures, this is the ultimate total rock bottom, 2 Kings 25. And so that rock bottom ought to point our eyes to something bigger, better, greater than these human kings that we see in the Old Testament, or even the human kings we're tempted to place our trust in today. So if you plan to be here on Sunday morning this week, March 21st, please RSVP. We'll be sending out our usual RSVP through Nancy's email. We also share that on social media, and you can always go directly to the website to fill out an RSVP that way as well. But if you're going to be here, please let us know. If you're not going to be here, please let us know. And if you said you're going to be here and then you couldn't be here, please let us know that as well. That way we can give your chairs to someone else. That becomes a little bit more important as we've seen some increased attendance the past few weeks, and we need every square foot that we can get. So if you RSVP and have to back out, even if it's at the last minute, giving us a heads up would certainly be helpful. So that pretty much covers it. March Madness, fill out those brackets. No men's breakfast this week. Sunday morning, 2 Kings 25, last week of our Royal Failure Sermon Series. RSVP if you're going to be here, and tune in live if you can't. So, again, happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy birthday to all those people out there, the two that I remembered, the one that I almost forgot without Lori's help. And if I forgot somebody else, happy birthday to you too. So, have a great Wednesday. Thanks again for joining us for the Midweek Update. We hope to see you Sunday. Take care.